Hi and welcome to Old Time Knowledge. Well, in this video I'm going to be making tonkatsu, which is Japanese breaded pork cutlets, and you normally serve them with steamed rice, so I've got to get some rice going first. This is so good. You can also make this same recipe using like chicken cutlets, and that's just chicken katsu. And it's really good also, but you basically serve them the same way. But first I'm going to go ahead, like I say, and get some rice going. 2 cups of rice is what I'm going to make, and so that's going to be 2 cups of rice and 3 cups of water, because I like to use a 1.5 cup water to 1 cup rice ratio when I'm making steamed rice. And we won't eat all this tonight, but I'll go ahead and make enough so that I can put some in the fridge that I can use tomorrow to make fried rice, or the next day or whatever. So once I get this going, then we'll get started on making the tonkatsu. All right, and the first ingredient we'll need for that is panko, breadcrumbs. You can get these at Dollar Tree, Walmart, anywhere you want. You just want to make sure you've got some of the panko breadcrumbs. Yes, you can use other kinds of breadcrumbs, but it won't be really authentic. And I'm not even saying the way I make them is super authentic, but this is the way I've learned to make them from a little Japanese cookbook that I have that I absolutely love. So then you're going to want thin pork chops. These are just your basic thin pork chops. You can get, whatever cut you want. These are the ones that are like, I guess from maybe pork loin. They just seem to be a little bit more of the just solid like white pork chops, not the ones that have the streaks of dark in it as well. But we want to prepare the pork chops first. We're not going to just start breading them and away we go. Now you'll see that I have an egg over there just hanging out waiting. I'm also going to be getting a couple of things to do the breading. This is the way that you would do like a lot of breaded meat, like fried meats, whether it's country fried steaks or, chicken for like chicken parmesan or whatever. But I'm going to go ahead and crack this egg into the dish and scramble it really good, just get it really broken up. Add a little, just a little bit of water to it, and then I'll be using this to dip the pork chops in after I've breaded them with flour, and then they'll be going into the panko to fry. Now at this point, I'm going to go ahead and speed the video up so you can just watch what I'm doing, and I will explain as something different happens that I need to point out. All right, so now I'm going to get the pork chops ready. You're not going to just take them just like this. There's a little preparation that needs to happen first. I don't know if you can see it in the package, but you'll definitely see it when I take it out. But these little pork chops have this little streak of fat along the top side. I really think this is from the loin. I think that's that little bit of fat that goes along the top of the pork loin. Anyway, you're just going to use a knife and just cut it, just notch it. Just notch that little fat. And the reason why you do that is when you put the pork cutlets in the oil to fry, once you have them breaded and everything, if you don't do this, your little pork chops are going to start curling up, and you don't want that. You want them to stay nice and flat. They look a lot nicer that way. They cook a lot more evenly that way. So just get a knife and just notch that little fat all the way along the edge, just so that the fat won't start causing it to draw in together along those edges, and it'll turn out a whole lot better. And as soon as I'm done with this, then I'll get the next ingredients out and ready before I get the oil in the skillet heated up. Okay, so now you see I've got those little pork chops and they're ready. So now I'm going to get a plate and just put some flour on the plate, and I'm going to add some salt to the flour. And the reason for that is I'm going to dredge the pork chops in the flour and, give them a good dusting of flour before I put them in the egg mixture and then the panko breading. So now my rice is boiling. I got to find the lid and get the rice on the pot so that the rice can steam. And there it is. Good. All right. So, and I put my timer on my rice for about 15 minutes. Alrighty. So now I'm adding some salt to that flour. It's about a 1/2 cup of flour, probably. I don't even know how much salt it is. I usually just eyeball it. But the point, and if you want, you can always, once you add the salt to the flour and you mix it around real good before you put pork in it, it's very important before you put pork in it, you can always just put your finger in the flour and taste if it's salted, like if it's got a little bit of saltiness to it. But you're just going to dredge the pork cutlets in the flour mixture just like that. And I just go ahead and do all of these at once. And then once all of these have the flour on them, then I'll move on to the next step. And y'all, I mean, I've got limited space. So I do things one step at a time so I can get plates out of the way. And I love to use paper plates for this because that's just less dishes that I have to wash. And anytime I can have less dishes to wash, it's a win. I've said it many times before, I don't have a dishwasher. I am the dishwasher. And so if I don't have to wash a whole bunch of dishes, yeah, that's what I'm going to do. So just a little bit more here to get coated in the flour, and then we'll be ready to move on to the dipping in the egg and the panko step. Alrighty, so that's the end of those. So now I'm just going to take some panko and put it in this other plate here. Just pour some out, and let me get these jars out of the way. Make some space, and once I get them breaded, I'm going to get them all on a plate so that they'll be ready for me to put in the oil when it's ready. And I'm using a fork to do this because, you know, it's easiest that way. I've learned the hard way that if I try to use my fingers are just going to get sticky with the egg mixture and the flour and the panko and just make a big clumpy mess. So yes, I do like to use the flour for this. So the fork for this. So you see what I'm doing. I'm just taking one of the pork cutlets. I'm putting it in the egg mixture, you know, making sure it's coated on both sides. And then once it's coated on both sides, then I put it right in that panko. And if I start running low on the panko, it's no worry. I'll just add more to the plate. It's not a problem. And just a few more of these left to go. And once I have all of these ready, then I will get the oil ready to fry them. I will tell you that if you do this and if you have space in your freezer, it probably can be very convenient if you do this and then put them all like on a cookie sheet or something on some parchment and let them sort of flash freeze. And then you can put them in your freezer so that these are ready if you ever want to just have it as a quick meal. I don't have that much room in my freezer. I never have that much room in my freezer. We have a more narrow kind of freezer, and we don't have like a second freezer, not yet anyway. So, you know, that's not really an option for me. But that's okay because we normally like to eat these fresh when I make it. I don't usually make a whole lot of these in advance, and so it's not a problem. All right, gotta wipe down that stovetop real quick and get the skillet in place and get some oil in the skillet. And yes, this skillet definitely, it could use some TLC. That's okay. Once it gets oil in it, that's gonna get it nice and shiny again. So I'm just adding some olive oil to the skillet. You can use whatever oil you prefer. I do like to use, I'm just getting to where I like to use either olive oil or coconut oil for pretty much everything, for any kind of frying stuff. But for this, definitely, I think the thing is olive oil. That's the best thing. So I'm going to let this get good and hot, and then I will start frying these cutlets. And the rice is done, so now I've got to get this moved out of the way and off of the burner and get my little station set up to start frying. I'm going to use that turquoise plate. Y'all, I got those turquoise plates from the Dollar Tree. I love them. I have those, and I have the bowls, and I have the little salad plates. They're just so great, and it's one of those things that I actually researched it, and this particular kind of plate from Dollar Tree doesn't have any of those toxic chemicals in it. You know, there's some popular modern brands that do have sketchy chemicals in the paints that they use on their dishes, and I'm just not about having that stuff if I can help it. So anyway, I'm a big fan of these plates, and I love them. So just frying up these cutlets, you know, it's going to take a little while to get them all done. I'll drain them on some paper towels, and then everything will be ready at once to serve with rice. So I'll show you how that looks. But right now, I'm just going to go ahead and let these fry, speed it up, and then you'll see me serving some up. All right, now we're getting to the point where I can start serving some up. I'm gonna get some served up for my son. The rice is ready, so I'm gonna go ahead and get some of that on a plate and show you how these are typically served. So I'm just getting a good portion of rice on here, and I'm going to get these pork cutlets. And usually what you do with these, and I'm so sorry that I have the camera the way that it is and you can't see very good from a distance, but maybe you can see. I'm just using a knife and cutting it in strips. That's pretty much how this is normally served. I'll try to get another angle in just a minute. But sometimes you can serve this with tonkatsu sauce. My son doesn't care anything about it, so I don't worry about making that for him. But I'll put the recipe for that in the show notes below. Tonkatsu sauce is basically just a mixture of a little bit of soy sauce, a little bit of Worcestershire sauce, some ketchup. I can't remember everything, but anyway, I will put it in there. But you see how, okay, you see how I'm slicing this up. Mine are a little bit more done than his. I guess I let him kind of get a little overdone. That's okay. But you're just cutting them into those slices just like that and serving it with the rice. You can serve it with any kind of sauce. If you want to serve it with some teriyaki sauce, duck sauce, anything you like. But regardless, I hope you'll try this and let me know what you think in the comments below. As always, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you again soon. Bye-bye.